welcome back to the channel. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. It should be right in the corner. It should be right in the corner. Again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. It should be right in the corner. Y'all already know who we talking about. Today we talking about Ksoo and his father. And I got a couple questions. I only have a few questions about Ksoo father. And do y'all really think it was a good idea for him to testify on his son? You know, when it's seen a lot of people go live about Ksoo father being a rat. When it's seen Boosie talk about it. Even Boosie done spoke up and said something about saying that he couldn't do that for his son, do that to his son, you know. But Ksoo daddy think otherwise, you know. He think he can he think it's a good idea to testify on his son. Y'all gotta excuse me for a minute, I'm trying to do so. Yeah, so let me ask y'all this. Okay. Is Ksoo father in a right or wrong? That's the question. Is Ksoo father in the right or wrong for testifying on Ksoo? Because we trying to break it down. We trying to see what's really going on. We trying to get into it. But we can't get into it if y'all ain't answering the questions. Is Ksoo father right or wrong? You know, some gonna say right, some gonna say wrong. Younger crowd gonna say wrong, older crowd gonna say right. So I want to know from the peoples, is Ksoo father in the right or wrong for testifying? You know, we only have one life. God only getting older. You know, I don't have an older child, so I can't speak up on the situation really. I have kids, you know, so I know the feeling. How you doing, Lola? You know, I know I know the feelings of having kids, but I want to know, is it good with y'all testify on y'all child in the circumstances of like Ksoo and his father? Would y'all testify? That's what I want to know. Will y'all testify on y'all son? Some people gonna say yes, some gonna say no. Most of the youngsters gonna say yes. I'm talking about most of the youngsters gonna say no, they ain't gonna testify. Which y'all testify on y'all son? In Ksoo dad in the right or wrong for testifying on his son? That's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of. That's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of, because I know some people, like I said, the young crowd gonna say, I wouldn't testify on my son, but the older crowd gonna say, yeah, I'll testify. And they got a point, because the older crowd ain't got a long time to live, and the young crowd got a longer time to live. And we already know when we young, we think with a young mind. So while we talking about choose, what you saying? What you saying, Lola? But anyway, we done seen Boosie talking about it. We seen Boosie talking about Ksoo father snitching. Lots of people talking about Ksoo father snitching. But you know what I'm saying? I can't speak. You know, say for instance, if I'm gonna put myself in that situation, I can't say what I would do if I was in that situation, because I haven't been in that situation, and ain't planning on being in that situation. But it's just hard to say. We can't say what we won't do if we haven't been in the situation, or we not going through the situation. But to me, you ask me if Ksoo father wrong for testifying, if Ksoo father wrong for testifying on Ksoo, you know, because like I said, if I was in that situation, I can't say what I would do. That's what I'm saying. I can't say, because you got to think about it. Ksoo father almost like 50 years old. He like 50 years old. He having health conditions, and he said he got like 3 more kids at home, small kids that he trying to get to. So is that a good enough reason for Ksoo father to testify? so they didn't get back home to the kids. You know, a lot of people were saying that when Ksoo father first got locked up, everybody was saying, oh, he was right along with that crowd. He was doing the same thing. He was influencing it and all that and all this because he wasn't never talking to Ksoo. So if he was influencing it, he need to be a gangster and take time like a gangster. If he was influencing anything that he had dealing with Ksoo or any ATK members or anything, if he was influencing any violence, I think he need to be a gangster and be a stand-up guy and do his time. You know, now that's my perspective. That's my thought on it. Now, if I was in that situation and I had a son, a grown son who was in the streets living the life Ksoo was living, and if I influence my son to go out and commit crimes, kill peoples, and I me myself personally approve that my child go out and kill people and do all this and that, of course, I'm going to be a man and take my lick. We're going to be on trial together. And no, I'm not going to get on trial and testify on my son. If I influenced it and I was a gangster and I would let my son, I would never telling my son no. I was always influencing. Son, go out and kill him. Son, make that track. Son, do this. Son, do that. If I were there influencing my son, of course, I need to be a gangster, get on that stand, take it like a man. I ain't getting on the stand to testify. I'll get up there and take my time. I'll get up there and take my time. How everybody doing? I'll get up there and take my time as a man. But all that, you want to play gangster in the studio with the kids, and then when it's time to get sentenced, you want to play rookie. You act like you don't want to know you act like you don't know what's going on. You ain't a gangster no more. You're not a gangster. They talking about going to prison. You're not a gangster anymore. That's my purpose. That's what I'm saying. So I want to know, is Ksoo father in the right or wrong? And I broke it down. On my end, I think he wrong for testifying on his son. And Ring, I think he wrong if he was in the studio and influencing his son. He went never straighten his son, telling him not to do this and not to do that. Of course, he need to be on that. He need to be sentenced with his son. But on the other hand, if he was telling his son, don't do this. Son, you know, there's lots of preaching to the kids. There's a lot of preachers. Son, I don't want you doing this. Son, don't do this. Son, don't do that. If he's a righteous man like that, yeah, he need to be testifying. Yeah, he need to be testifying. You know, but I want to know what y'all take on it. You know what I'm saying? You know, some people gonna disagree, some people gonna agree. You know, some people's gonna agree, some gonna disagree. Like I said, if he know his son a gangster, and he ain't never stopping it, he just letting it be all gangster, doing all gangster stuff, and he ain't conspiring in it, and you know what I'm saying, and all that. Yeah, he need to be sentenced. He do need to be sentenced. He need to be a gangster and hold up. You know what I'm saying? Go to trial like his son. He need to be a gangster and hold up for it. But if he Mr. Righteous, son, don't do this. Son, don't do that. Son, don't do this. Son, don't do that. Son, don't do this. No, son, don't do that. Yeah, he got a right to get on that stand and testify, because I don't think he should have to pay a price for his son. Now, that's my take. Now, I want to know y'all take. Is it fair for this man to get on the stand and testify on his son? Everybody got a problem because the man get on the stand and testify on his son. So I want to know what y'all think. It's stuff a grill of bad teeth. You're wrong, but it's not a grill. These don't come out. They don't come out, baby. And they sure not bad teeth. They don't come out and they not bad teeth. But this ain't about me. This about Ksoo, their father. You know, I just want to know what y'all take on it. Because like I said, I've seen Boost, I've seen lots of people speak out. Talking about, oh, he wrong. I'll never testify on my son and this and that. You know what I'm saying? Boosie got a point. He do got a point. I ain't gonna say I wouldn't never testify, because if I done preached to him, and I ain't had no dealing with nothing and all that, ain't no need of me and you both losing our life. You know, the gangster gotta pay the piper sometime. And that what coming with being a gangster is paying the piper. You know, say his daddy been to the prison. His daddy been in prison, so his daddy should have told him, son, this is what coming with these streets. If you're gonna be out here in these streets, this is what you're gonna get coming with the streets. See, if he would have prepared his son for that, then it wouldn't be no surprise when it's time to go to court. It wouldn't be no surprise when the police kicking the door in to come to pick you up. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. It should be right there in the corner. And if you subscribe to my channel and you hit that notification bell, you'll be notified every time I go live. You'll be notified every time I go live. Every time I go live. And I go live every day. So if you don't want to miss my live, hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. I'm out of here. Until next time.